Facebook and YouTube community. This is Jennifer Noreen. I'm here with Gary Parker, the owner of Barbecue to You in Gig Harbor, Washington. How are you, Gary?
We are doing good today.
Good. I'm glad to
It's a
hear it.
great day to be serving barbecue.
Yes. Are you busy? What's
We're
going on
always
at the
busy.
restaurant? Yeah.
We're really busy. We just got through having a great lunch hour, and now we're kind of in our lull, so we're looking forward to all our dinner guests coming in.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, today we wanted to talk about a very practical issue, and that is reheating your wonderful food. So I know from eating there, and I know
Mhm.
friends of mine know that your portions are fairly generous, right? So
Oh yeah.
it's delicious food, and sometimes you're hungry enough to eat all of it, but sometimes you have leftover, especially brisket, which is pricey, right? So
Yes.
do you have tips about, brisket versus turkey versus chicken, heating up the smoked meats the next day or so, and how to do that in a way that doesn't ruin the taste and the texture of the meat?
Yep. There's just a couple things to remember. This is an easy one, and that because you already got the upper hand and the advantage. Because barbecue holds well, right? And so this is the reason people there's certain foods like pizza and barbecue and these kind of things that you know you don't as opposed to something like a fish and chips, right? Fish and
Hmm.
chips you're going to eat it that day, but you're really not excited about putting that in the refrigerator and
No.
doing the second half tomorrow. But barbecue you can, and one of the reasons for that is because it holds well, right? And so really reheating it, the secret to it is to keep it covered, right, or be in a real humid heat. I don't. I'm not a particular. When I reheat, I'm not a particular fan of convection, right? I like the really warm, moist heat, of kind of the older style ovens, right?
Hmm.
Because all you want to do is you're trying to bring it up slowly, and you're trying to let the collagen that has previously been liquefied um, and the greases, right, or the oils, right, to slowly just turn back into a liquid again and come up to a minimum of 141 degrees, right? So and of course there's always the microwave guy and gal, right? And that's what I do, right? Because I usually go get me the really cold cuts, and I throw them in the microwave and nuke them really quick, and then I put them on my sandwich, and hey, I'm all good again. Um, Brisket and pulled pork and these chickens and stuff like this, they're really favorable to microwave as well. But I like the oven. When you come, many of you that are probably hearing this who have come and bought, you know, days in front of your event. That this is becoming more popular now that people understand us better. Is they're realizing they don't really have to come and get it the day of. They can come and get it, the week before and put it in the freezer, or they can, buy it 2 days before and keep it in the fridge, right? And then they follow our warming instructions, which is just to put the oven at 225 or so, leave it covered in the foil that we have, right, and just bring it up to over 140, right? And the health department's listening. They're going to say, Gary, you should have said 165, but I tell people 140, and because that's typically what they're going to do anyway, right? That's
So do
nice
you
and hot.
do you put it in the oven covered with a moist towel or oil,
No,
or
no, no, no.
oil?
Because I've got it. Usually, I've got the foil on those trays for you if you picked it up from me, right? And
Okay.
so they've been gripped in there. They're really tight, right? And so what happens is it's much like the cooking process, Jennifer. It's like as long as that seal stays in there and those juices start to heat up, through the heat of the oven as it goes through the aluminum, um, it creates steam, right? And what you're really doing in the end, if you keep it sealed, is you're using steam to heat your food, and you're not really using the dry heats or the wet heats of the oven to do it. So the oven heats the pans. The pans create, transfer the heat inside. The juices kind of start to get steamy, as they get hot, right?
Mhm.
And that's what warms your food up. And that's the secret to keeping it moist. If you contrast that, if you pull the foil off because I want to get the heat to the meat faster. That's when that moisture is allowed to escape, right? It escapes into your oven, and then if it's in your oven, then it's not in your meat anymore, right? So you want to try to create that steamy environment inside those pans, right, to heat it back up. And that's exactly how we do it here in the store, right? Because we make tons and tons and tons of this stuff, right? So not everything can be hot at once, and so In the store, just to be perfectly fair, because I'm a commercial restaurant, we put it in when we put things in the oven. We take them up to 165. Okay, uh, and that's because we're following the state rules here, which is that if you cook something and then you chill it down below 40 and you're going to reheat it, you want to make sure that you've given it every opportunity when it heats up to be as safe as possible, right?
Hmm.
So restaurants will take it up to 165 and then bring it back down to 140 for serving, right? When we do the reheat process, and so
Okay.
um, that's good to know if you're a, a home person, right? But I think what most people do is they heat it to up around 140, 145, and then they're throwing it on the table.
So is that something that you're doing slowly? Like if you have a half a pound of brisket left and you're putting it in the oven covered, is this something you're doing on 200 over a period of a half hour, or can you?
First of all, if you have a half a pound, I'm going to tell you to go to the microwave and be done with it.
Okay.
And not worry about it. But if you're sitting there on 10, 15 pounds of brisket or pulled pork or something like that,
Hmm.
and you don't want to sit there and put 15 loads into your microwave, then you're gonna have it wrapped up in these pans, and you're gonna use your oven to bring that up.
Got
You know?
okay. So you're talking about more like if you're heating up a large amount of food for an event, and you're
Yeah,
saying that you don't have to get your food the same day as the event because if you get it a couple days prior,
yeah.
you can
You
reheat
get to
it
miss
pretty
the crowd,
effectively. Yeah.
right? And this is getting popular for things like Fourth of July, Memorial Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. People are realizing now that they're comfortable with our product and how easy it is to warm it back up. They're ordering so they can pick up days in front of the crowd, right? Because some of them now have gained the experience of what it means to stand, in a line that's 30 minutes hanging out the door before they even come in here, right? And in a hope that they're going to try to get to it and get home, right? And so so we've started facilitating more of this early pickup stuff and helping people understand how to warm it up.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's
Wow.
great, and it's so great, right? I mean, it's not, it's just like you just picked it up. I mean, that's what's really cool about barbecue is it holds so well. Cooking with Greg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No, I hear you. So it's definitely something you can do. And of course, we'd like to have you just order more fresh food. But if you are
Of
reheating,
course.
those are some tips. And then I think he's just reminding us that for events, you don't have to pick a day of. You can pick it up like day before Christmas or 2 days before Thanksgiving and heat
Right.
it up properly. All right. Well, so the next thing we want to talk about, because I know that, I don't know, I want to say especially this time of year, but I think year round, I see a lot of catering requests come in. And
Catering. Hey.
you do a lot of weddings and corporate events and hospital
Yeah,
visits.
weddings, memorials, company parties.
Crazy.
We're feeding. We're doing holiday events now. We did the veterans. We fed 400 people on Veterans Day this year,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, and that was we did that. We did 400 people in 40 minutes, right? So basically, we were pushing out a plate a minute over there, and I was very proud of our volunteers that came in and helped us get that done.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It was something to
but,
see for sure. It looked
yeah,
like a smooth operation. Although sometimes I wondered if you were. I knew you were enjoying yourself, but you get very focused, and it's hard to get you to smile when you're focused on that. And I think you're doing your part, and then you're trusting that your team is serving up the rest. And it was interesting
yeah.
to watch. But yeah, you're right. 400 people in a very short amount of time because I don't think anyone got cold food that day. So yeah,
Nobody got cold food that day, and that was the goal, right?
yeah,
Like, we want to make sure they had a hot meal as promised, right? Yeah, we weren't gonna take any shortcuts, but
yeah. So
those are some of the big things we do, right? And um, but we do, but you're right in that we do the most we do is weddings, right? So we just go weekend to weekend to weekend to weekend with weddings all through the spring and all through the summer, spring, summer, and some of the fall, right? Um, as we get more enclosed with the cold weather, right? We don't do as many outside, that kind of thing. You know, but
so it's
yeah, and we do
so it's
memorial.
a sorry, go ahead.
No, I said we do quite a bit of memorials these days too, or
Mm,
celebrations of life. This has become popular, and then we have a lot of corporate summer parties that we're doing, along with we now do the Bremerton Air Show, we do the Gig Harbor Art Festival, we do the Fox Island Music Festival, and so on. Right, so we get really stacked as we go through the year doing catering. So I like to say we do as much out the back door as we do out the front door.
yeah, yeah. So I know it's a costly part of a budget, though. I mean, I know I've planned events myself, and I know that people see it as they definitely want your food there, but they want to be careful with what they're ordering so that they don't end up with wasted food at the end, for one thing, that they, give their guests the selections that they're looking for. Obviously, I would guess your brisket is very common and popular. And I know for a long time I assumed that you could only order for catering what you see on the barbecue to you menu, which is not the truth. So, Gary,
Not always.
talk about what some of the popular, what you think are the most successful food spreads at an event. Let's say 200 people, and then talk a little bit about some of the variations that you do for events, so people know
Yeah,
that there
so,
are options.
so we've been known, depending on if the circumstances are right, we do a lot of different things. The most popular menu, I would say, would be brisket, chicken, the two meats, and then they'll do two sides. And so um, they'll do a potato salad or a coleslaw as the cold, and then they'll do a hot side, and that'll either be beans or mac and cheese. You
Hmm.
know, some of the other hosts will do three and three, so they'll do like a if I got if, depending on their family or who they have coming in, they'll do brisket, pork, and chicken, and then they'll do like the two sides, and then they'll add a Caesar salad, right? So you don't see me do Caesar salad in the store, but it's a must-have for doing weddings and large events, right? So you can order those in. I will occasionally for certain weddings and different events. Do some of the southern things I don't do in the store on a regular basis. I've been known to do the cream corns. I've been known to do different style hors d'oeuvres, right? In certain
Different styles of what?
hors d'oeuvres,
Oh, uh-huh.
and usually I do something creative, right? I've had some people that I've done things like tenderloin for versus the believe it or not, versus the brisket, right? So it's a beef replacement. I will tell you those things when I do them are extremely expensive. If you know what I mean, because
Yeah.
I'm breaking way out of the norm in order to do that,
Yep.
and so
Yep.
that takes me a lot of extra time and space, and so um, a lot of times for most people I would call it cost prohibitive, but there are those who like me to go off and show off my ability of all the things I try to cook, right? But most popular, if you ask me, 200 people run of the mill, got to get them fed in 45 minutes because their own track, through a traditional wedding. We're going to go out there with those two meats, two sides, or two meats, three side kind of thing. We're going to fly. Everything's hot, ready to go. When we get there, we're going to fly in. We're going to, the tables are set up, so we're going to come in there, lay our chafing dishes down, put our plates out, put our utensils and napkins out. We're going to go to the other end of the table, get the breads, the sauce, and the condiments put on the table. Drop those serving utensils in, and depending on like if it's 100 people, right? I will typically run people down one side of the table. I've got 200 people, then I'll push the table out away from the wall, and I'll put double sets of utensils so I can run people down both sides of the table. It all depends, really. When you do a lot of catering, you find out all these parties are different. People have a vision about what they want, and really the trick is you talk to the hostess and you decide what it is they're really trying to achieve. Right? You look at their wedding. You learn. There's a lot of stuff, especially doing weddings, because there's different ways that people like doing weddings. Okay, and some are true, really big time traditionalists, right? And
Super
so,
formal. Yeah.
so the types of things we get into, we've literally at some weddings we've sat there with me and my help guys, and arms crossed, blocking the table from the guests, right? Because they've stipulated the bride and groom are going to come through first, or
Yeah, for sure.
father's going to come bless the food before anybody goes through, right?
Right. Yep.
And then the one you go to the next day, right? You're going to go in there, and they'll look at you and go, "Yeah, it's just a free for all. We're just here for the party," right? And we have a completely different demeanor, right? When we're doing it, because those folks don't care how fast people get fed. But the first example I gave you, they're also looking at you and say, "Okay, we got 35 minutes between we start to serve and when we do the toasts," right? So So I have to get them through, get them back at sitting in their chairs, and get them well down their path of eating in order to meet those timelines, right? So these are some of the things that a caterer goes through, right? That unless you've ever done some of these things, um, you don't have any real idea, right? That you're
Yeah.
dealing with these levels of complexity, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a timing involved. So are we, if you're doing an event, is that customer providing any utensils or tablecloths, or do you guys show up and you
You
just
still
need
do everything.
tables with enough room?
The policy that I have is if you're going to pay me the dollars to do a full service event, right, you're not going to work at it.
Right.
I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to be able to count on me to get it done on time, and then
Yeah.
get out of your way,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, occasionally, there's some special stuff where we partner, but for the most part, it's I come flying in there, and I have everything: plates, utensils, napkins, foods, hot, ready to go, plates, breads, butters, all this kind of stuff, right? And
Hmm.
then one of the things that we do that a lot of my peer caterers don't do is if it's appropriate because of the scheme, we will go out and bust the tables. So we'll go out and we know which tables were first coming through,
Hmm.
right? And so by the time I get through serving 200 people, let's say those first people are probably pretty close to done, right? And so I'll leave one person monitoring the table for safety, and then I'll go out and I'll start picking those plates up and getting them out of their way, right? And I'll just follow the
Yeah.
crowd. And people just think that is the most amazing thing is we'll bust tables, and for somebody to bust tables these days is apparently a novelty.
Yeah. The veterans event, I sat by the high ranking, captain's table, so to speak. And I was completely impressed with these people on the second, servings that they got, and then the coffee that followed. And I mean, it was so smooth. And I thought, wow, this is a truly professional event. And I don't know what the money scenario was there, but I'm sure what I was watching was a high honor, high service operation, right? And it was super impressive. I mean, even in an event like that, I think these people were kind of shocked at like, wow, I didn't even ask for more hot food and I had it. And it was amazing to watch. So I'm sure that your paid events go equally as well.
Yeah,
And if that was 400 people, maybe 200 at a wedding is probably pretty easy compared to
yeah,
400 people with varying ranking. There were some pretty highfalutin people in the room that day, and I think that they were all well taken care of as well as all
yeah.
levels of people. But it was impressive. It's fun to
We
watch.
had a good time.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to large events. The other thing that I would share with people is there's a right way and a wrong way to set up that buffet. A lot of people don't think about this, and most of the people that I meet before they talk to me, if you were to ask them outright, they will say, "Well, I want you to set the meats up first, and then I want you to put the vegetable, the sides and stuff second." I don't even know. That's
Mm,
exactly backwards, right? Let me tell you what'll happen if you do that. Right? If you put brisket as the first tray on a table and they got an empty plate, you're going to throw half your brisket in the trash can because brisket's a heavy food. It takes you about 6 bites before your stomach starts going, "Oh, I'm full," right? Yeah,
hmm.
but you were starving when you went through that line, right? And you picked up 3 slices or 4 slices. You picked up a pound, right?
Oh,
You put on
right.
that
Yeah.
plate,
Yeah.
okay? And you can't eat it now. And so we do two things in order to really balance, how much people can take without having to be bouncers, if you know what I mean, right?
Hmm.
Um, so the first thing we'll do, we will set up salad, right? Followed by the cold sides, followed by the hot sides, so that by the time you get down to the end of the table, you've got a little space, right? That's left on your plate that's vacant for the meats, right? And of course we're bantering with people all the way down that table, right? And making them part of the experience, and so they get there, and so they won't take near as much. Okay. The second way to do the other common mistake I see that people that try to do this on their own make is when they went to Costco to go buy the plates, they bought the biggest freaking plate they could find. Okay. And so the first thing they're doing is they bought this much food, right? But they bought a plate this big, okay, or a platter or something. And so what do you think's going to happen? They got all this room on the plate, right? I tell
Yeah.
people buy the 8 3/4 inch plates, right? They make them in a nice, beautiful hard plastic, which is what we use for weddings, or they make them also in a heavy duty Chinette plate They're 8 3/4 inches wide. They more than can fill that up, right? And it's going to more than satisfy them when they get back to the table. But at the same breath, it's blocking them from taking so much, so much that they can't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really the secret. If you know how to if you got these experiences and you know how to set this stuff up, right, in the order, in the right orders, right, you can make a moderate amount of food go a long way. And by the way, we just don't pick up as soon as the last guest goes through. We invite people back for the refill and graze and do all the things people will do. And there's always plenty, right? But in the entire almost 7 years now that we've been doing this, there's only been one time where we ran out of food, right? And it's because we follow these tips and tricks and techniques, right, to help manage people. And we understand the psychology of I'm hungry, my eyes are bigger than my stomach, but I don't realize that at the moment. So how do you get them to take less so that it goes further? And the hosts love it, right? Because it helps them keep their expense down, which is a problem these days, right? Because caterers are not cheap. I am not cheap by any sense of the imagination. Okay, and so you gotta you're gonna unleash 100 people or 200 people on a menu, right? You want somebody over there that knows how to keep it regulated,
Mm-hmm.
without upsetting people, right? And
Yeah. Yeah,
nutrition.
nobody wants to waste food. Nobody wants to throw away food that didn't get eaten for sure. So I'm going to review really quick some of the options for catering. I mean, you can certainly contact Gary for a conversation, either email him or call the store. But just as far as options go, I heard Gary say 3 and 3 is popular. So 3 meats, maybe mac and beans, Caesar salad, or something similar. Um, Cream corn and orders are available. You can imagine some really fun things you could do with brisket and such for hors d'oeuvres, but those are things that will cost you extra and some planning for sure. And then the most common, I think I heard you say, is 2 meats, 2 sides. Is that a pretty common event scenario,
Yeah,
right?
that's the most common.
Yep. And then he talked about the order of how things are served. So it sounds like when you hire Barbecue to You to cater an event, you just kind of want to let them do their thing. They've been doing this a long time. You have a lot of funny quirks and nuances and expertise that you want to take advantage of. So let them set the table up the way that they want to and know best to do that. And also, you don't have to provide much. You need to provide a place for the food. So,
Yep.
definitely room for whatever you've arranged with Gary. But it's pretty simple. You're not having to worry about silverware even. Is that true? Silverware even? Nothing. So
We
they're going to
bring
bring it all.
We're gonna
Yeah,
bring it all.
very cool. So, Gary, what's the schedule like this time of year for catering? Are you booked or?
Yeah, June. The spring and June still have some time. July is pretty much fully booked already.
Mhm.
August has stuff open. August, September has stuff open for the summer months right now, and that's about as far out as I look at things right now. I do already have some bookings in October for this year. These are some of the larger weddings where those folks are, they're very sensitive to getting in time and
Mhm.
making sure they grab their caterers. So I started getting 2025 caterings. I usually start getting them in September of the year before if they're
Yeah.
200 300 people at a pop, right? Because those folks are, a lot of those things are professional party planners and things like that are wanting to make sure we're sewed up. And there's other stuff that goes on with some of these larger ones like venue insurance and other stuff that the venues require. A lot of the really larger venues are associated with Pierce County itself. And there's a whole bunch of set of rules that go around if you're a caterer going into a Pierce County facility.
Yeah, good to know. So call early, even if you think you might hire Barbecue to You for catering. Call early and talk to Gary about it. Talk to one of his guys. So before we wrap up here, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about what else is going on at the restaurant. I know you have a monthly senior movie. You have
Oh yeah, yeah. So
weekly.
we got the counter takeovers going, and the youth groups are doing fantastic. We just finished last week. We finished the women's co-op, and I can't see the sign to tell you who's out there right now. Um, but yeah, come in, drop your receipt. Help these groups out. Times are hard for everybody, so every few $100s that they make is as another kid getting to do something he otherwise wouldn't be able to do, or have a
Hmm.
uniform or safety equipment or what have you, right? So we like making sure that stays open. We've got John Shoemaker as the author this week, and he's got his program management book, expertise book. Matter of fact, I think he sold out. He's got more books coming in Thursday. So yeah, so Monday was pretty good for him, surprisingly, and a bunch of people came in and bought that stuff and all like that. So we've got him going on the 30 or January 31st. We've got the free senior movie over at Galaxy Theater. We're going to be playing the movie Conclave. Here it is right here. If I can find it here, yeah, there we go. There it is. I got the DVD right there, so we're going to be showing that this on the 31st. Let's see. We've also started partnering with Penmet Parks. So I think it's the first and third Friday of every month is 2 hours worth of bingo over at the administration building at Penmet. My partner and I, Joe, have been setting that up this year. Um,
At the Penn Met, where is the Penn Met Park building?
the administration building. I don't have a street address. It's where for those of us in Gig Harbor that are watching this, it's the old driving range where they're putting up the new rec center. Right?
Okay, got
There's
it.
another building there, and so we play bingo over there. Um, as a recap for December, since I can't remember the last time we did this, our senior Santa program worked really well. My partner and I, we delivered. You guys. The thing we did there is we go visit the seniors that are in the retirement facilities, right? And you can imagine me. I can give you a picture sometime. I'm dressed up like Santa Claus, and we go in there and we do a full blown in the facilities. We set up full blown. Come sit on Santa's lap and talk to him, kind of thing. And then they all walk away with these wonderful gift bags that have socks and lip balms and back scratchers. I mean, all these kinds of things that are just charming and it's quite emotional, to be honest with you. And we did 500 bags this year. We're trying to get up to 1,000 next year, right? It's part of our charity work and just going out and bringing some joy to people, right? During the season when they often get forgotten about. So we, we enjoy doing that stuff.
Yes, yes, and you don't know, you may be the person they see for Christmas.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I used to visit an elderly man when I was in my younger years, and his only family was in Seattle, and he hadn't seen them in 3 years, and he was in Tacoma. So you
Yeah.
just never know whose day you're making, right? That's great, great
Yeah.
thing that you do. All right, well, we will be doing this again in February. If you need catering from Barbecue to You, be sure you give them a call. Anything else that you want to share
Nope.
about Gary until before we close
So
out? Is that it?
just come eat barbecue every day. It'll keep the doctor away.
All right, there you go. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.